Hey everyone, so many of you know me as Arsène Lupin III on Facebook. Some of you know me as Reaping Grin. It all depends on how long you've known me. Um, Basically, I had a friend post a video based on her role-playing career, so I figured it was interesting, so I try it. Uh, my role-play career has spanned over 20 years, so it's probably not going to be very long. uh, so we'll go ahead and start with um, something that I found that I thought was very relevant in regards to the views of a role player. Only a writer will hold conversations between people that don't exist. We don't talk to ourselves, we talk to the people we create from nothing. And this really connects with my experience as a role player. So the first character that I role played was from a cartoon that I watched as a child. Uh, Growing up, um, the cartoon was called Darkwing Duck, and the character that I played was this character right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There's not going to be any video of me because I do not have a webcam, so you're stuck with pictures. So this is a character that I first started playing, and his name is Negaduck. Uh, was brand new to the role-playing scene. Not really sure how I found it, but I did. And it was a forum. So it was more of a forum style where, someone would post and then you would have to wait and wait and wait for another person to reply. Well, sometimes it took days, if not weeks, for someone to reply. So this little portion of my life really didn't last a whole long, uh, very long. Uh, but the friendships that I did make from this experience lasted for quite some time. In fact, I still talk to one of the people that I role played during this period of my life, and I was actually invited to her wedding a couple years back. So yeah, the one thing about role players, you'll get some bad ones that you don't really get along with, but the good ones that you get along with, as long as you keep positive connection with them, those friendships seem to last the longest. Um, as I said, I'm still talking to this person to this day. We're still good friends. We still talk at least once a month or so. But this character really kind of appealed to me based on the fact that, he was a good villain. And my theory is if a show, a movie, a book, or whatever has a good villain, you have to have an even better hero to defeat the villain. So that's why I've always kind of loved the villains a little bit more, because if a good villain usually makes a good hero and makes the story much more interesting. So Negadoc just kind of was that entity for me. Very much like a Joker character, except without the sense of humor. Very vicious, very uncaring. So it was just at that time of my life, that was like what I wanted to do, how I wanted to act. And mind you, this was back when 56K internet was the fastest thing on the planet, at least that we knew of. So that was just the forum role playing. I'm not a really big fan of it, but I did it. So that didn't last very long, only about a year or two, as I said. And then along came Toonami. And Toonami had this show that was just funny and entertaining, and the first female character that I ever role played. And that was Ryoko. Role played the female characters mostly on this show because the male characters were just boring. And yeah, only one character, male character, really had a good backstory, and I ended up role playing him, which is Yosho, this character over here on the well, it'll be your left, maybe. I don't know. It's the male character over here that's scratching his chin. Um, so I role played those two for a long time, then took a break and started role playing another character, which I'll get to. Then a couple of years after, my whole departure with the Tenchi Muyo, they actually came back out with Tenchi Muyo GXP, which introduced this character up on top, Ari Masaki. And she was a character crazy as shit. Absolutely insane. But she was fun. And she had a good story, and I was just very interested in her. Basically, she is married to Yosho, the other character that I role played as. And she is Tenchi's grandmother. Well, one thing that really drew me towards, you don't want to call her grandma because she goes ape shit crazy if you refer to her as old lady or grandmother, and she just kicks the shit out of the person that says it. And it was just funny to me, and I enjoyed role playing her when she came out, but that honestly didn't last very long. As to where I role played these characters, this was back when AOL was huge. AOL beat out Yahoo, all of these other things, which are still running today and still running strong. But AOL was huge. Started out in the Tenchi Muyo by accident. I wasn't really looking to role play anybody, but just went into the chat rooms and saw in the anime section that there was a chat room for Tenchi Muyo. So I was like, oh, well, I like Tenchi Muyo. I'll go in there and we'll be able to chat. I didn't realize that it was a role-playing chat room, so I just started typing to people, and I think at the time my screen name had something to do with Ryoko, since she was my favorite character, and people started posting like starters to me, and I didn't know what was going on, so I just kind of wrote back, and then they started calling me a noob, you suck at role-playing. I'm like, wait a second, what? This is role-play? I was like, oh, I didn't know this, so I started typing back and doing actions and interacting with them. And soon enough, it took off. I'd come back and, people would be like, hey, let's role play. And I'd be like, okay. And then we'd start to role play. And eventually the chat room scene started to die down. And it moved on more into a personal connection with people that I had met online. Started doing instant messaging role playing where I would have just a select few people that I would role play with, and it would just be a personal role play. Nobody else except us. So I would play multiple characters from the show, or we would create original characters and just kind of let them interact. So that definitely took up part of my high school life there, between sports and theater and my role playing. I was fairly busy with that, and whenever I got a chance to, I would be on the computer role playing. Uh, sounds kind of pathetic, but once the Tenchi Muyo scene kind of wore down, there was a show on Adult Swim that basically took over and has been in charge basically of my entire role-playing career since then. So I think it was about 2000 when I actually picked up this next character, actually set of characters, because I've actually role-played every single one. And that is the Lupin the Third franchise, and most of you all know me for this franchise as well. Main character Arsène Lupin the Third as my main character, I've role played him, as I said, since 2010 or 2000. So it's 2014 now, so 14 years. So that's over half of my role playing career that I've actually role played as this character. I have role played as Fujiko Jigen, uh, Zenigata, which is the officer in the back, and then I have dabbled in Goemon, but he's not my favorite character, so I tend to not play him at all. But anyways, so how I started on Lupin the Third, it wasn't a very popular anime with people, so I actually went into fanfiction.net, read some fanfiction, and there was one writer that I really enjoyed, and messaged her one day, asked her if she had ever roleplayed before, and she hadn't. So I kind of talked her into the role playing scene. She was horrible, absolutely horrible at first. I worked with her, talked to her about how to improve, and eventually, just like everybody else that I've ever met, your role playing improves over time, and she's an amazing writer. And I still talk to her today. She's one of my best friends, and yeah, her username is Lucy J Daisuke or Daisuke. That's how you pronounce it, Daisuke. I don't know. I freaking know Jigen Daisuke, and I still pronounce it wrong. But anyways, Lucy J Daisuke is her username on fanfic.net, and I believe also on DeviantArt. Uh, but anyways, I digress. She has made a major impact on my life. She's taught me a lot, and I've taught her a lot. But yeah, she's probably one of the closest role playing friends I have. I still talk to her to this day. Um, Took a lot of her characters from her stories and integrated it into our role play. We don't role play anymore, but I still talk to her every now and then, and we always have fun talking about the Lupin franchise. It's played a big part in our friendship. Uh, Now, the other person that has played a huge part in the uh, Lupin franchise for me is a good friend by the name of Shy. And basically, she role played a cop, a blonde cop, it kind of brought me out of the normal mold of Lupin constantly chasing after Fujiko, which is his main love interest, and went after this pretty blonde cop. And yeah, and with her being a cop and him being the world's greatest thief, it kind of brought a whole new tension and a whole new awkwardness to role playing, and it was just fun. It was something that I'd never experienced before, so I really enjoyed that, and I still talk to her as well to this day. One thing about the Lupin franchises, I mean, the friends that I made with they may not be it may not be the most popular franchise uh, in regards to in the United States and people that I can speak their language, but the people that enjoy it I've actually been the closest with, and they mean the most to me out of all of them. But yeah, so kind of lost contact with Shy for a little bit. Not didn't role play a lot with her anymore as Lupin. We kind of grew up a little bit and got busy with our lives and stuff like that. And the next character that I picked up after a little dry spell with Lupin was Joker. Now, my good friend Sarah actually kind of coerced, I can't even talk today, basically brought me in, and I don't know how it started, but I think she may have been role playing Harley Quinn or something, and she needed a Joker. So I thought, okay, well, I knew her from my Lupin days, and I think I had role played with her a little bit, and she introduced me onto IMVU. I, it pains me to say that, but it's true. And so basically, she got me onto IMVU. I made a Joker account. I've never actually role played as Joker before. I didn't know a whole lot. Was never really a fan of the animated series. Um, I watched it. I was more of a Two-Face fan at the time. But I really did like the Joker from the 1989 Batman movie. Jack Nicholson. Yeah, you all know that. You're all pretty much all Batman fans. But that Joker actually really spoke to me. I really liked the portrayal of that one. And so she got me into it, and I started doing, well, if I'm going to play the Joker, I need to do some research. So I started doing a little bit of research on the Joker and reading the comics and stuff, and I just got hooked. I was absolutely just absorbed by the Joker. Everything about him, he was a very interesting character. He's by far my favorite villain to this day. Um, Not so much Ledger, but the acid chemical bath Joker being my favorite. Get out of here, cat. I don't need you walking on the keyboard. Anyway, so basically, role played him. Very few people actually know this fact, but during this time, I also role played as Harley Quinn. So one thing about both of these characters, role played them. People loved it when I role played them. I did somehow manage to capture uh, their insanity and their lust for chaos and blood, and Harley's lust to constantly please the Joker, and as far as that went, um, role played Joker for about 3 years, and Sarah was actually the one that introduced me to Facebook role playing. She also introduced me to Alex and all of those other people, and then it just kind of grew from there. My Joker, was more of a brutal type. Not so much I was never able to catch his full sense of humor, but I was able to catch the madness and bits and pieces of the humor and stuff like that, and things that he would find funny. But definitely the hardest character that I have ever tried to role play as. Picked up a few after Joker. Picked up a few original characters. Was never really. I'm horrible at making original characters, but after Joker, mainly, I just went back to the Lupin the Third role play. Introduced some of my own original characters that were more developed with my friend Lucy J. Daisuke. And so I brought in Arsene Lupin the Fourth, which is Lupin's son. Then we have his eldest son, Lupin's eldest son, Jordan Lupin, and then Lupin's father, Arsène Lupin II. It's kind of more, Arsène Lupin is more along the line of the Joker, except without the humor. Very brutal, kind of like a Jack the Ripper type of villain. Don't really role play any of those characters. Though I do feel that I should bring Jordan back because he was a very interesting character. But yeah, so overall of this, Lupin the Third has been my top role playing character. Uh, and I believe that's everything that I have here. One thing I do want to do is say thanks to everyone who has really been involved in my role playing career. Um, I'm probably going to forget most of you, but definitely some of the main people: Lucy J. Daisuke, Shy, um, Sarah. You've introduced me to a world that is amazing, and I have you to thank for that. Uh, Beta, you've obviously been a good friend of mine for quite a few years now. Alex, you've definitely made things interesting, and you've helped me improve my role playing a little bit, though it has recently gone downhill, and I'm okay with that, honestly. Um, yeah, now that you're trying to thank people that helped you through the years, you're like, oh, I can't think of anybody else. Um, Definitely, Marley. I love you. Um, Rachel, you're amazing. I don't really get to role play with you much anymore, but you've always entertained me on boring days where I have nothing to do. As well as Maria. I'm trying to think of a bunch of people that I need to thank. Little low key, you've definitely forced me to kick my own ass a couple times where I honestly fucked up and did something wrong. Kat, I hated you for the longest time. I'm glad we're friends now. And Tanya, we may not talk much anymore, but you're a good friend of mine, and I appreciate the time that we did role play together, even though that you don't role play anymore. But I won't hold that against you. But anybody else that I forgot to thank, I do appreciate all of you. You've made this an experience, and I look forward to more time and hopefully more epic role plays. But until then, I will see you guys in the posts.